So if you get chickens, sooner or later, you're going to have one get out of the coop. And that's what happened to me last night. So what ended up being the deal is I spooked the bird when I was feeding her, and she flew straight out of her pen. Okay? First mistake I made is I didn't stop what I was doing and watch to see where she went. Now, your barred rocks, your heavier breeds, they might just hop out of the pen, wander off a few feet, and that's it. Game hens are way different animal. Super athletic bird by nature. So needless to say, I figured, she'd hop out of her pen here, maybe make it to this fence line. But wherever she went, she flew far enough that I haven't found any footprints. I checked clear over to that tree line, checked that tree line, checked that tree line, checked over by this building, nothing. I even got out the binoculars and started scoping the trees to see if she just flew up in a tree. Still couldn't find anything. Make matters worse, she's black and white, and everything this time of year is white and either black or dark brown. Not the easiest bird to see. Top it off, I was doing the regular winter routine of feeding and watering our birds about an hour before sunset. Reason I do that is they've got a full crop when they go to roost, helps keep them warmer, and it just, in my opinion, helps to get the bird through the cold nights. Now, last night wasn't that cold compared to what it's been the last 2 weeks, but the wind blew really well, and so the snow's got a nice crust on it now. You can actually see, these are my footprints from last night when I was looking for her, and they're all but gone. So what do you do in a situation like this? Well, honestly, aside from walking around with a net and looking for the bird, the only other thing you can do is make it as easy for that bird to get back to its pen as possible. Chickens are a bird of routine, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave the big gate open all day. I've got the door to her coop propped open, and I've got a pile of feed in there for her, and I'm just going to stay away from this pen as long as possible so that she feels safe enough to come back. I'm probably going to get in the truck and check the tree line out on the edge of the field here and run my binoculars over the field, see if I don't see her out there somewhere, but we'll see what happens. On a side note, if you're living in cold weather, that's what happens if you don't gather your eggs often enough. They freeze. Now, I'm not planning on eating these, but what I'll do is I'll take them in the house, let them unthaw, boil them, take a cheese grater to them, and I'll throw that into the feed for some of the birds just as an extra nutritional supplement. You can feed your eggs back to your birds. I don't feed the whole egg. I try to change the appearance so that it doesn't click in their little brain that the eggs they lay are something they can eat. And the shells I usually put in the garden. You could feed them back to them for a source of calcium, but I just put them in the garden. So, also, one other thing I want to address is heat lamps. I know that's a hot topic in this cold weather. Tons of Facebook groups, people asking about heat lamps and that kind of thing, especially down south. Like, oh, it got down to 30 tonight, should I put a heat lamp? Well, let me tell you, we were hitting lows. Now this is in Fahrenheit. At 5 in the morning, when I'd get up to go to work, it was 22 below zero. All right. And that's 30 degrees is freezing point for water. So that's 50 degrees below the freezing point of water. And none of these pens out here have any heating lamps whatsoever. So how did the birds stay warm? Well, for one, I've got clear plastic on the pens. These first two pens, I'm going to have to replace the plastic. I ran out of the good plastic and I had to get this cheap stuff that's already tearing apart. This is the type of plastic you want. Get it at your farm supply. It's not completely clear. But I've only got it single layered on here. Now, first of all, that takes the draft off. Second of all, it acts as a little bit of a greenhouse effect. You know, the sunlight hits it and it kind of radiates in there. Secondly, these little bitty barrels are stuffed clear full of grass hay. Now, some people say use straw, wheat, whatever. Point is, long-stemmed, dried hay, straw, grass, whatever, acts as an insulator. Air gets trapped in little pockets in between the stems and the leaves. Makes a great insulator. So stuff that sucker full. The next thing, make sure you've got enough bodies in there to radiate the heat. And if it gets real bad, of course these pens are designed that I've got a little door that I can lock them into the barrel if I need to. Now, in all actuality, I didn't do that during this cold snap. And I did lose one Bantam hen. But I'm going to tell you, the cold wasn't the reason, that the sole reason. See, what had happened is I'd put this hen in with an already established pair of Bantams earlier in the month. And birds are very good at hiding illness until it's too late. So I didn't realize that these other two were not giving her her fair share of the feed. Because during the week, my wife does most of the chores because I always get home after dark and I don't like to feed the birds after dark because then they get off their roosts and they're wasting extra energy. So when that cold snap came through, she was thinner than the other two, and so therefore already in a weakened state. And I found her when she was still alive, and I did take her and put her in where there was a heat lamp, and I gave her water with electrolytes and vitamin supplements and all kinds of things. But by that point, it was already too late. She was too weak to take the weather head on. If you've got a healthy bird and you keep them dry and out of the wind, they should do all right. You know, there's people up there in Canada that don't even use heat lamps, so you don't really need them. But that was unfortunate. One thing that you do have to watch, particularly in this weather also, is if you have breeds with large combs. Check them for frostbite. And also with the snow, if I had my roosters out on their tie cords, what I'll do is I will scoop the snow away on the ground where they're going to be walking. And the reason I do that is because then they're not putting their feet in the snow, it's on top of the snow. If your feet are submerged in the snow, it's not going to take long for them to get cold, lose circulation, and get frostbite. What I'll actually do with that snow is I will heap it up around their barrel, because there again you have a natural insulator. Now take a look at these pheasants, for example. Here again, I was experimenting, I was pushing the limits. Lots and lots of straw around their little huts, okay, and inside their huts. Basically tried to insulate it as best as I could. I figure they're ringnecks. They're different colors of ringnecks, but they are ringnecks. And if a wild ringneck's going to make it through this weather, you know, out in the wild, in the woods, what would it do? It's going to find corn stalks, tall grass, that kind of thing, and it's going to bed down in it. And that's exactly what these birds did. I didn't lose a single pheasant. Okay. I push a lot of whole corn in their feed this time of year because that helps to generate body heat as well. The ducks, as a matter of fact, have been eating basically nothing but the corn in their feed ration. And I just yesterday started mixing in black oil sunflower seed as well. So we're going to see how much of that they eat. Black oil sunflower seed has a high fat content, and that'll help keep them warm as well. So there we go. Just thought I'd cover a couple things regarding escaped hens and some winter tips for your birds. If you like the channel, subscribe, share it with your friends, tell your friends about it, and we'll see you in the next video.